Question. Okay.
The first
How do you feel about
Lin-Manuel
accented
Miranda
singing?
Okay.
Yeah, well, okay, we've talked about Lin-Manuel Miranda a lot.
Yeah,
Hamilton
fair,
in the Heights,
fair.
Encanto, Tick, Tick, Boom, all that stuff. And we
But-
have talked about that. He is such a musical talent, and that talent isn't, like, all
Vocal?
in singing.
Correct.
And I think he does a great
that's
job
okay.
in this.
I do. I agree. There's a couple of moments I'm like, why did you sing that word that way?
When he sung,
Lin?
like, Guy.
Guy? Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm gonna, in the Zoom chat, I'm gonna just copy and paste a note I have. Hold on 1 second. This is not fun for any listeners, but it's for Raven.
Guy.
Singing as British. Capital G, undercase U, big U, little U, big U, big U, big U, big Y, a bunch of lowercase y's. Oh God, and that
Why?
stupid smirk that he did.
Yeah, as far as accented singing goes, I don't mind it when the accent in question is the singer's accent, like actual accent. And you can just hear some of their accent peeking through. Like, I'm a sucker for a good I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles by the Proclaimers. Fucking love it. But when it's an accent that you're putting on that comes across too much in your singing because you're forcing the accent, you know what I mean? I think it can make the singing sound more comedic than it's intended to sometimes, which doesn't always make it bad, but I think if you're not careful, I think it can mess with the tone that you're trying to set.
But at the same time, it does fit the vibe of Mary Poppins when we have Bert and
does.
Dick Van Dyke.
Like,
Chimney.
what more can you do? I love that they were like, you know what? We're still not going to get a British actor to play this guy. Like, we're still not going to do it.
Some of the lines just enunciate. I don't know. It's just like the tone of like most of her lines. It's just so like beautifully cutting.
Yes. And it's interesting because I feel like at the very least the inflections and like vocal I guess idiosyncrasies that Julie Andrews gave to the Mary Poppins character, Emily Blunt does a very good job of imbuing throughout her performance as well. And I think it's interesting because often when people speak that properly and like they're enunciating every word and blah blah, like it can sound very weird and very unnatural because the average person doesn't talk like that. But Mary Poppins is not the average person, and I think the ability to make that way of speaking sound natural, even if it's in a way that is specifically unique to this one individual, is like takes so much talent. And skill.
I was reading somewhere, I don't know how much this is true, so potential fake news alert, but I think Emily Blunt was saying, or like some interviews about Mary Poppins Returns, they like approached her and they were like, hey, we're thinking about doing this, would you do it? And she was like really nervous to do it because like Mary Poppins is just like an institution,
an iconic character.
And like and so she wasn't sure, but like Disney was like, we couldn't consider doing this if you, Emily Blunt, weren't Mary Poppins.
But just basically the same thing that happened to Julie Andrews, so it was meant to be.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I don't know if it's true, but I'm pretty sure I read that like somewhere. Whatever, I'm not going to cite my sources. I love...
One thing I do really like, when the kids first come in, when Michael and Jane are still searching, and you can tell at least Michael is like getting kind of stressed. The kids are all like running in, excited and yelling from their bath and like the adventure that they just went on. And there's a moment where Michael like yells at them and it's clearly like out of frustration. But then as they're walking out and like clearly very sad, he like stops them. It's like, I'm sorry, you didn't deserve that. I'm just really stressed because of this. None of this is your fault. And I don't want you to worry about this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I really love those moments where like, again, you're seeing you're seeing the overall theming and messaging, right? And like you're understanding like Michael is legitimately a good father to these kids. He really fucking loves these kids, and he's going through a really rough time right now. And there's a little bit of repairing that needs to happen in this family because of the loss they've just gone through. But at the end of the day, like, he's still there for his children the best he can be. And I just love those little moments that give you that glimpse into his character. Because I think it's important to re-characterize your characters now they've gone through this huge time skip. It's been like 15 years since we last saw Michael and Jane. And it's important
longer than that.
Oh, certainly, yeah. I was just...
If their kids are... Say the older kids are like 10.
Sure, so probably like 20, at least, because they were 10 when they...
So if...
If he and Kate met when they were around 20...
And and then within the first... Yeah, it's probably been like 20...
20-ish, maybe 20 to 25. He could be like 35 right now. Yeah. I just don't think he's 40 for sure. But I just think it's really important to re-characterize your characters when you're showing a new version of them. And I really like the way that they were establishing Michael's character for the purpose of setting up the story. And I just think like that little moment, because like when he yelled at them, I was like, okay, are you going to apologize? Because you know they didn't deserve that.
Yeah,
and then
like,
he did, and I was like, and then he did, and I was like, okay, good. Like you're like good.
Yeah. Okay. And then we. What I don't understand, like I've listened to this song a lot, something that does take me out of it after Lin-Manuel Miranda, Jack, raps and does like his thing and like finishes his verse. There's like a weasel or something in the audience is like, he did it! Were they expecting him not to? Were they not there? It's just like so, I just don't get it. And it's just like so loud and present that he did it, that I wish they just transitioned to like the finale of it. Like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Why are you? It's like, oh my god, he
Why
did
is this
it.
impressive
He sang
to you?
he sang the performance they said they were going to perform.
Yeah,
it's just the one guy.
I kind of agree, and also like my issue with this, because I generally don't have an issue with Lin-Manuel Miranda's rapping in general, like as just a thing that he does. But in this particular musical, it kind of bothers me because I think this would have been a really great opportunity to do a proper patter song. And I feel like what he does is kind of halfway between a rap and a patter song. Like there's moments where you get like he almost comes close to making it a patter song, but then he still is singing with that with his iconic rapping style that makes it unequivocally a Lin-Manuel Miranda rap, and not a patter song. And I'm just like,
energy of like a narc trying to do patter.
Yeah.
It's like very, hello fellow youths, I am one with you.
Yeah, and I feel like he could have really gone like full Gilbert and Sullivan with this and just like had a lot of fun with this and made it like fit the setting as well, because like sure, in modern day England there are plenty of rappers and that's like a whole culture that's over there. But like now doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to
me.
It like kind of took
one of my few gripes with the movie.
Like it was fine, but like when they said he did it, I was like, okay.
Why?
It was like, why was that necessary? I like don't understand. Because I am once like to give a generous read, especially when it's to disagree with you. And even in this instance, I'm just like, what? It just, I don't know why it's bothering me so much. Maybe because
I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was trying to give grace, and I was just like, I don't like it.
I do like the song, though.
I do like the song, yeah. I just think they could have done that moment very differently.
Yeah, and I never thought doing like more like a patter song. That would have been really nice. That would have been like really fun, like Music Man-esque. That would have like really fit with the scene. But I understand. We're in the 2020s.
I don't understand. Like
with people are trying to be more modern with stuff.
Setting and tone are still a thing that exist.
and then make it
Weird.
to this weird fountain garden park area
where they have like a ballet pole dancing scene.
Magic Mike.
I'm here for it. Yeah. It's really cool.
The
So like they have like
are so like they're floating.
they're so into it, and there's like a whole scene of like lampposts like set up, and they're all doing like a little dance around it. It's really cool. I think it's really well done. Very reminiscent of like the chimney sweep scene in the original Mary Poppins. And this is where I was really thinking that it's really cool how the musical again like manages to hit all these same beats, but the story itself totally completely different,
Yeah.
But like all of these like story beats are still hit just in a different order, which I think is such a cool way to tell a sequel. And so they eventually make it home.
Well, there's a few
go
more
ahead.
things in this song. How did you feel about the Leary speak aspect? I thought it could have completely been taken out.
I agree. I didn't mind it.
And Lynn did
found
not have to be dancing with everyone.
I found it
Bless him.
humorous when Lynn was doing it with the other lamplighter. Weirdly less so than when the kids did it with Mary Poppins. But I didn't mind it, but I agree it wasn't needed. It could have been cut out, for sure. Especially because, like, didn't love the fact that this movie was 2 hours and 10 minutes. I didn't mind it so much because I was entertained and I did enjoy
did
the
not
story.
it wasn't like Matilda.
Yeah, it
or
wasn't like it was
Oklahoma.
dragging. Shut up. It wasn't like it was
Wild,
dragging.
you gave it like a
but
eight,
I was.
Would you give it a 9 out of 10 or something stupid like that?
I gave it a 9. In retrospect, I would give it like a 7.5.
Which is still so high. So, time,
Yes.
clock, Geneva,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
Do you think there was ever a point in
Geneva?
Was it? No, not Geneva.
Like the conventions?
No,
Or like the city?
like the city.
Do you mean Greenwich?
I mean Greenwich. Yeah.
Okay.
The G. Just time in general. Do you
Yes.
think there was a point where it ever got off?
Like where, like, as in, do I think that the Admiral was always correct and
talking
Big
about
Ben
real
was in
life.
fact off? Oh yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Because time is arbitrary.
Yeah,
like,
I know, but just like we're all like on the same system right now. But like,
Yeah.
was there ever like a point in history where they were just like, you know what? Let's push back 5 minutes.
I fully believe it because I cannot believe that like everyone around the world was like actually on the same time. So like at some point in history, I do think that they were just like, listen, we're just going to pick a time to say that it is, and it's that time now.
I'm just so
Like,
curious what that like process
what that
history
process was
is.
like. Yeah.
I don't know. I might research that later because that just seems so interesting.
Honestly, listeners, like the science and history of time telling, like human time telling, is truly fascinating. Like when you look at like what is a second. A second is the amount of time it takes for, I think, a plutonium atom. I could be wrong. Politonium. I think it's politonium.
I think you're right.
Yeah. For a politonium atom, polonium. It's polonium. I don't know why I said
politonium.
politonium.
That's not a thing.
Is not an element. Yeah. But
Not yet.
a second is the amount of time it takes for a polonium atom to
Is that the
basically
half-life?
vibrate.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's the amount of time it takes it to vibrate a certain amount of times. It like occurs in a second, and that is the definition of a second.
I know we're science people, Raven, but like sometimes science is dumb and stupid and crazy. Like what?
Isn't it?
Like how? And like there's that's crazy. Cheers.
And did you know?
To time.
Cheers to time. Also related to time, a moment is an actual unit of time that refers to approximately 90 seconds.
That seems too long.
Doesn't it? But yeah,
Like
listeners,
some people
if you're ever
time.
interested
How
in
long is
learning
that
about
song?
like if you're ever interested in like learning about the science of how time is kept, like France used to have a like Paris, I think, used to have a city-wide steam-powered system of keeping time and like changing the clocks. It's really cool when you learn about how humans throughout history have managed to track and keep and tell time. It's actually fascinating. So, like, if you're ever interested in that, have a go at it. Listen to any podcast, read an article about it. It's much more interesting than you probably think.
A Moment Like This by Kelly Clarkson is 3 minutes and 49 seconds long.
Which would be 2.5 moments?
Yeah, and it's the tempo is 73 beats per minute.
Should have made it 90.
There was an opportunity, and
she missed it.
She missed it. Luckily, she spent her time on From Justin and Kelly, a movie I like came back around and I love so much.
That's crazy.
It's iconic.
So, anyway.
You know it is. A bum dig it.
A bum dig it.